Li Shulai turned to Zhang Ming and casually asked, "What do you want for lunch?" Zhang Ming grinned. "Lanja ramen sounds good." Li Shulai nodded. "All right, my treat." Zhang Ming, still buzzing with excitement, said, "Brother Shu, you were so cool just now, I'm so punked. What you said was amazing. And forget manners. I'm definitely getting 2 extra slices of beef in my ramen." Furious, Zhang Shuili shouted, "What the hell are you pretending to be?" She charged at Li Shulai, aiming to slap him. But Li Shulai dodged effortlessly, grabbing her wrist in the process. "Girls shouldn't shout about fighting and killing," Li Shulai calmly told her. "Be careful, or you'll mess up your hormones." Enraged, Zhang Shuili tried to kick him, but somehow she ended up bouncing backward toward the red and yellow-haired boys. The onlookers were stunned, and whispers quickly spread throughout the crowd. "What just happened?" one student asked, confused. "What just happened?" one student asked, confused. "I don't know. It looked like Shuili wanted to slap Li Shulai, but he moved so fast. How did Zhang Shuili fall like that?" Another student added. The red-haired boy rushed over to help Zhang Shuili up. "Are you okay?" he asked. The yellow-haired boy noticed she seemed dazed. Zhang Shuili, on the verge of tears, was still wondering what had just happened. Later, back in the boys' dormitory, Zhang Ming couldn't stop smiling. "Brother Shu, you were so cool just now. You left without showing off, but didn't you see Zhang Shuili's face? She was pale. She doesn't even know her own limitations. How could she look down on others like that in front of you?" But then, curious, Zhang Ming asked, "Did you secretly learn Qigong or something? How did Zhang Shuili get bounced back so far so fast?" Li Shulai smiled and replied, "If I told you I don't know either, would you believe me?" It was strange. Zhang Ming looked disappointed. "Do you expect me to believe that?" Li Shulai laughed. "Honestly, I have no idea how it happened. Maybe she just tripped because she wasn't paying attention." Zhang Ming, still skeptical, said, "That's too perfunctory. There's no way she just tripped." Li Shulai, however, had no answers. He didn't fully understand what was happening either. First, his coffee shop had been surrounded by a strange golden light. And then, when he was taking a shower, the same golden light appeared. Confused, he had wondered, "What is this golden light? What kind of ability did I awaken after being reborn?" And now the same thing had happened with Zhang Shuili. Before he could react, his body moved on its own, and her movements slowed down before his eyes. He could even see the trajectory of her actions. When Zhang Shuili tried to kick him, it felt as though a barrier had suddenly appeared around his body, pushing her away. "This can't be a coincidence," Li Shulai thought. "Something's happening to me that can't be explained by science." Determined to get to the bottom of it, he decided to visit the university library the next day. The following day at Hongsheng University Library, Li Shulai grabbed a stack of history and mythology books, searching for any clues that might explain what was happening to him. While reading, he stumbled across a section in one of the books detailing ancient legends about a phenomenon called resurrection of spirit energy. According to the text, when spiritual energy between heaven and earth reflows and strengthens, mortals with spiritual roots can naturally absorb this energy. Through meditation, they can connect with the forces of nature and embark on the path of cultivation, merging with heaven and earth. Different factions practice different methods of cultivation, such as swordsmanship, physical training, and chi cultivation. However, the difficulty of cultivating immortals requires hard work, perseverance, and constant breakthroughs in day-to-day practice. Although the text called it a legend, it also stated that many such myths had been passed down and exaggerated over time. Li Shulai knew that such stories were often dismissed as old folklore, but he couldn't ignore the strange things happening to him. These legends may not be entirely baseless. After all, science hasn't disproved them either, he thought. Perhaps I am one of these so-called individuals with spiritual roots. Maybe there really are hermits and hidden masters practicing silently in corners of the world. Returning the books to the shelf, Li Shulai left the library deep in thought. I don't know if the revival of spiritual energy started after my rebirth, but regardless, this is my opportunity. I have to seize it. That evening, he decided to try practicing. The next day, at 6 in the morning, Li Shulai headed to the park. He had read on the internet that early morning, when the sun rises, is the best time to practice. Practitioners would use this time to purify their bodies, harmonize their breath, and cultivate their inner strength. He arrived at a park near the university and found a quiet spot under a tree. Sitting cross-legged and calming his mind, he focused inward. Let's see if I can gather chi in my danshin. Li Shulai was shocked when he realized he could actually see the energy. He was leading and controlling it. Without hesitation, he continued practicing, circulating the spiritual energy through his body for 9 cycles. He became so engrossed in the process that he didn't even notice the temperature rising to 29 degrees. His body started feeling hot, and he wondered, is this normal? Opening his eyes, he thought, I vaguely touched the threshold of cultivating immortality. If I persevere, small efforts will accumulate, and even a little water can form a river. But despite his excitement, he still wasn't sure. Is this really how one cultivates immortality? After practicing for so long, he noticed that his body felt lighter, and the fatigue and sleepiness from getting up early were mostly gone. He made up his mind to return every day to practice. However, he suddenly noticed several elderly people gathered in front of him. They were all surprised to see a young man in the park so early for morning exercise. "That's great," of them said. "Young people should exercise more and keep fit to stay healthy." One elderly lady even tried to introduce her granddaughter to Li Shulai, while another man attempted to teach him the correct posture for Tai Chi. Nervous, Li Shulai politely declined, saying, "Grandpa, Grandma, I have to go back to school for classes. I'm leaving now." The elderly group insisted that he should come every day to practice, but Li Shulai quickly ran off, escaping as fast as he could. Once he was free, he breathed a sigh of relief, but seeing so many elderly people gave him an idea, a new business opportunity. In another 2 years, he thought excitedly, square dancing will explode in popularity among the middle-aged and elderly. Right now, it's spontaneous with no organization or discipline. China's society is aging rapidly, and if I create a structured, safe space for square dancing, not only would it contribute to society by providing a place for exercise and relaxation, but it would also be a fantastic business opportunity. Thrilled by the idea, he thought, "I'll make a plan when I get back." As he walked away, an old man practicing martial arts in the park noticed him and thought, "This young man has an aura similar to ours." Later at the airport, an announcement echoed through the terminal. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard our flight to Yanzhou. It is now boarding time. Please have your boarding pass and valid ID ready and line up to board the plane." Everyone noticed Li Shulai talking on a cell phone, and they were surprised. A mobile phone, they thought. That's so expensive. In the 90s, owning a mobile phone was considered a luxury. The lady on the other end of the call told Li Shulai, "We've selected several houses near Sandley Lake for you." The woman on the phone asked Li Shulai, "When would it be convenient for you to come and have a look?" Li Shulai, preparing to board his flight, replied, "I'm about to board the plane now. Contact me in 3 hours when I've landed." After grabbing his bag, Li Shulai boarded his flight to Yanzhou. A few hours later, he landed and made his way to Dezuo Real Estate. At the real estate office, the receptionist greeted him and said, "The market price of the house you're interested in is 1 million yuan. Would you prefer to pay in full or through installments? If you're interested in installments, I can introduce you to our bank loan services." The receptionist smiled, thinking, he looks to be in his early 20s. Could he be a rich second-generation kid? He sounded so generous on the phone. Could he be the god of wealth? Li Shulai paused and told her, "Give me a minute. I want to take another look before deciding." He knew this property would not only serve as a base for him in Yanzhou, but its market value would also skyrocket in the coming years. The agents have a good eye for selecting properties. No wonder this industry has thrived for so long. But it's a shame about real estate. In about 10 years, the market will collapse. Without further hesitation, Li Shulai took out his golden card and handed it to the receptionist. "I'll pay in full," he said. Receptionist's eyes widened in shock, not just her. Everyone present in the office was taken aback. Did he just pull out 1 million like it's nothing? Someone whispered. He looked so young and his clothes are modest. But he didn't even blink when paying in full. Maybe he's from a super rich family. Another person nodded. Must be a second-generation rich kid for sure. A girl dressed in black overheard the conversation and remarked, "Sandley Lake is far from the city center. There's no room for the property value to appreciate. I must have been fooled." Another person whispered, "Are you stupid? The value of houses in that area won't appreciate. That's the old town." After signing the contract for the house, Li Shulai smiled to himself. They don't know anything. Forget Sandley Lake. If you buy property in Yanzhou, you'll make a fortune too. Being reborn has its perks. Satisfied, Li Shulai thought. Next up, there are other important things to take care of. He made his way to a newspaper vendor and bought a copy of the Financial Evening News. As he flipped through the pages, he noticed an article about Feilong Technology's rapid growth. The company had not only secured domestic success, but also attracted overseas investments. Father Long really knows how to seize business opportunities and climb to the top, Li Shulai thought. But then he smiled knowingly. I can't let him dominate the market alone. As the chill of the evening air set in, Li Shulai thought, it's time to meet Brother Shi and Brother Hong. Later that day, at the Dagwon Kun building within Yanjing Technology, Lu Doxi, the CEO of Yanjing Electronic Technology, addressed the receptionist. How is Hukshuo progressing with the material preparation? Please ask him to provide a status update. Also, make a reservation at a nearby restaurant for later. I have a lunch meeting with Mr. Lin. His secretary then informed him, a young man has arrived and mentioned that he wishes to discuss something with you. Lu Doxi responded, send him away. I'm not taking any meetings at the moment. He thought to himself, it's probably another aspiring young entrepreneur wanting to pitch his ideas. I've seen more of them lately. However, after a moment of reflection, he reconsidered and instructed. On second thought, let him in. Also ask Xiao Hu to come by later. He mused, I was once young and inexperienced too. Perhaps I should give this person an opportunity. The secretary nodded in acknowledgement. I'll inform the young man right away, he replied. Meanwhile, Li Shulai stood patiently at the reception desk, contemplating. The well-established competitor next door is already thriving, while Mr. Lu is still operating as a small technology firm. It's no easy feat to fall behind at the start and still manage to stay competitive. The secretary approached Li Shulai with a cup of tea and politely said, "Please wait for a moment. Mr. Lu will see you shortly once he has concluded his current tasks." As Li Shulai waited, he noticed Lu Daxi on a phone call. "You might not be fully aware of the potential market for chain stores in China," Lu Daxi was saying. "With the country's rapid economic growth and the rise of the internet, demand for its products and services is increasing exponentially. This is the ideal time to expand into the market." However, the individual on the other end seemed distracted and uninterested in the conversation. Mr. Lu concluded, "Let's schedule a meal for another day, and I'll explain everything to you in detail." He ended the call and turned his attention to Li Shulai, noting, "So this is the young man. He seems sincere enough." Approaching him, Mr. Lu asked, "Are you here to apply for a position?" Yanjing Technology is not currently in the process of expanding its workforce. Li Shulai stood and calmly responded, "No, I'm not here for a job application." Slightly intrigued, Mr. Lu asked, "Then may I ask the purpose of your visit?" Li Shulai, fully aware that Mr. Lu's recent plans to open a chain store were doomed from the start, reflected on the situation. It wasn't just the market limitations that posed a challenge. In a few years, the spread of an epidemic would further complicate matters. His entire strategy would likely collapse. However, such external and uncontrollable factors could not be openly discussed. He realized that the approach he took with Mr. Lu had to be different from how he handled things with Yang Fei Long. Lu seemed uncertain and confused. Unlike Lao Yang, who had been easily motivated with just a few words of encouragement to earn Mr. Lu's trust, Li Shulai knew he would have to be direct and address the core issues as Mr. Lu looked at him, puzzled. He thought to himself, has this guy not figured out what to say yet? Meanwhile, Li Shulai, inwardly amused, thought, it feels odd not to play the role of a master this time. Li Shulai addressed Mr. Lu confidently. "I've been studying the situation of various domestic internet companies and have developed some insights of my own. I overheard you mention the chain store during your call, and I'd suggest abandoning the plan sooner rather than later." Upon hearing this, Mr. Lu smiled, thinking, if you want to join Yanjing, just say so directly. Making bold statements to prove your abilities? I've seen this game before. He responded, in recent years, with the country focusing on infrastructure development, land prices will continue to rise steadily. Physical stores will find it increasingly difficult to turn a profit due to rising labor and rent costs. Instead of competing for a shrinking market, it's better to shift your focus towards the internet. However, upon observing Mr. Lu's expression, Li Shulai realized that, in his heart, Mr. Lu likely dismissed his advice. Yet outwardly, Mr. Lu maintained a respectful demeanor, as if appreciating Li Shulai's insights. Mr. Lu shook his head and said, "You're only seeing the surface, not the core. While physical store costs have increased, the profits from chain stores are more than enough to cover those expenses." Mr. Lu continued, "You have no idea how popular the Yanjing counters are. As long as the brand Yandong is associated with it, there will be long queues. Young people like you haven't experienced the ups and downs of the industry. It's not enough to just theorize, you need practical experience. Practice is the only way to test the truth. Opportunities are fleeting. Successful people achieve their status because they know how to seize the moment. If you're too timid, you'll never accomplish anything that's said. I do admire your courage to come here and say these things." Li Shulai smiled inwardly, thinking, yes, practice is the ultimate test of truth, but I've activated the rebirth cheat. With newfound confidence, Li Shulai responded, "I have one more piece of advice for you, Mr. Lu. E-commerce will only truly rise to prominence if it controls its own logistics. One day, you'll understand exactly what I mean." Mr. Lu laughed and said to Li Shulai, "You're quite an interesting young man, even bolder than I was back in my day." However, his face turned serious as he added, "Confidence is good, but no matter how fearless you are, reality will teach you a lesson." Li Shulai remained unfazed and confidently responded, "Then just wait and see." He handed Mr. Lu his business card and said, "If you ever need my help, you know how to contact me." With that, he left the office. Mr. Lu glanced at the business card and noticed the name, Li Shulai. Initially, he didn't pay much attention and tossed the card into the trash. However, moments later, he reconsidered and retrieved the card, thinking, "It may have sounded a bit outrageous, but I can't seem to shake it off. Today has been strange," he thought, carefully placing the card in a safe spot. "When my IP chain empire is built, I'll invite him to see it firsthand," he resolved. Meanwhile, Li Shulai walked out of the building smiling to himself. At this stage, Mr. Lu wouldn't abandon a long-prepared plan just because of a few words. But once he faces setbacks and realizes his mistake, he'll come looking for me. Let him be humbled by his ignorance, Li Shulai mused. As both men pondered their encounter, Li Shulai's thoughts shifted to his next target, Qiantu. After securing both Mr. Lu and young Fei Long, he was ready to move forward with his plans. Sometime later, at Hangcheng University in the boys' dormitory, Zhang Ming greeted Li Shulai enthusiastically. "Hey, it's great to see you again. Where did you disappear to over the weekend? Why are you still carrying your luggage?" Li Shulai brushed off the question and replied, "I went home to visit my parents." Zhang Ming, excited, said, "Say hello to them for me. Tell them you have a good friend who's ready to join the family." Teasingly, Li Shulai responded, "I don't need another brother. What I need is a sister." Zhang Ming, pretending to act like a girl, joked, "If needed, I could be your sister too." Annoyed, Li Shulai shot back, "Get out of here." But even as he joked with his friend, his mind drifted back to Mr. Lu, wondering, "I left him my contact details. Will he actually reach out?" Later, Li Shulai handed another CD to the receptionist at Qiantu. The Anzhou plan had been completed as scheduled, and now the real game was about to begin. Then, turning back to Zhang Ming, Li Shulai asked, "I've gone home on the weekends before, and you've never missed me." The sudden attachment this time, Zhang Ming replied, "There's been an old man asking around for you. Based on his description, I realized he was talking about you. I just wanted to know what was going on." Curious, he asked, "Did you run into a scammer or something? You have to be careful. There are a lot of shady old men and women out there these days." Teasingly, Li Shulai remarked, "It's just the bad guys getting old. Most older people are still kind and trustworthy." Zhang Ming grinned and replied, "Well, if anything like that happens, your dad, will always have your back." However, Li Shulai couldn't shake a feeling of concern. Who could be looking for me at this time? Father Long isn't that old, is he? He shrugged the thought off. If it's something important, they'll find me again. With that, he finished packing his things and prepared to leave. Just then, the old man who had been searching for Li Shulai appeared. He had been asking around the university and nearby marketplace, hoping to track him down. As Li Shulai went out for a walk, the old man finally found him. Rushing over, he grabbed Li Shulai's hand and urged him, "Come with me." Confused but curious, Li Shulai followed the old man to a nearby park. Once there, the old man instructed him, "Look carefully." Suddenly, fire-like energy began to gather around the old man's body, and Li Shulai stood in shock. "Is this what I read about in the ancient texts?" The old man then shouted, "Focus your energy and center your mind." Although the technique wasn't overwhelmingly powerful, it was strong enough to cause the leaves on the surrounding trees to fall. Li Shulai, trying to remain composed, thought the dignity of the elders should be respected. The old man, somewhat embarrassed, asked, "Did you understand what I was trying to teach you?" Li Shulai, now deeply intrigued, thought, "This blazing energy, like a raging fire, shows that this man has been practicing for a long time." Then it hit him. Is this man an immortal cultivator? He quickly pieced it together. It's not that the spiritual energy in this world is reviving, but that there are already many hidden masters practicing in secret. I didn't have the qualifications or opportunity to join them before. Deciding not to reveal his inexperience, Li Shulai thought, "I'll just play along and act knowledgeable." Meanwhile, the old man was having his own internal revelation. "I've met countless people, but this young man's essence is the purest I've ever encountered. I've struck gold. If my granddaughter marries him, the Jiang family's future will be secure." Feeling a bit nervous, Li Shulai asked, "What exactly do you want me to do?" His thoughts raced. Is this like the novels? Is something off here? With a serious expression, the old man asked, "Are you currently seeing anyone?" Li Shulai was stunned. That's what he wants to ask me. He thought to himself, this is the first time I've met a real-life immortal cultivator, and instead of talking about the spiritual world or discussing the mysteries of cultivation, he's asking me about my dating life? Realizing the situation, he thought, is this old man setting me up for a blind date? Nervously, Li Shulai replied, "What kind of relationship could a serious person like me have? I have to go to class soon, so I'll be leaving now." But before he could move, the old man stopped him, saying, "My granddaughter is smart, clever, considerate, and beautiful. She attends your school. I'll call her over right now." Li Shulai felt a sense of unease wash over him. Am I in serious trouble here?" The old man, wasting no time, dialed his granddaughter at lightning speed. Li Shulai, noticing the strength of the old man's grip, thought, this man is indeed a cultivator. His strength is incredible. Meanwhile, on the other end of the call, the old man's granddaughter picked up asking, "Grandpa, did you come out of seclusion? Do you miss me?" The old man, now slightly awkward, looked at Li Shulai and said, Ning, don't accuse me wrongly. I think about my precious Ning every day. Look, your grandpa came to your school today, specifically to see you. Come find me quickly." Ning, surprised, asked, Grandpa, why didn't you tell me earlier? I just promised to go shopping with my classmates. Now I'll have to cancel on them. Her grandfather quickly reassured her. I've brought you lots of delicious food and beautiful clothes. You can share them with your classmates later. Come here now. Reluctantly, Ningning agreed and told him she would be there soon. As soon as the call ended, Li Shulai tried to excuse himself, saying, I won't intrude on the venerable and his granddaughter's family time. I'll head to my class now. However, the old man grabbed him by the shoulder and said, just wait 10 minutes. You're single anyway, so why not at least meet my granddaughter before making any decisions? Li Shulai, feeling trapped, thought, I don't have time for this, the old man insisted. My granddaughter is not only beautiful, but she's also very filial to her elders. She's truly one in a million. I guarantee you'll be impressed. Trying to remain polite, Li Shulai responded, I am currently focused on my cultivation and have no interest in my personal life. No matter how exceptional the venerable's granddaughter may be, I am not interested. Both the old man and Li Shulai were locked in a tug-of-war, trying to convince each other. The old man, observing Li Shulai's calm demeanor, thought, this young man not only has excellent qualifications but also strong self-control. At this age, it's rare to see someone remain so composed in the face of potential romance. Despite Li Shulai's attempts to leave, the old man held on to him tightly, grabbing his leg and pleading, I have plenty of resources. Please understand an old man's wish to have grandchildren and live a peaceful family life. However, Li Shulai, exasperated, gently pushed the old man away and firmly stated, I won't agree. The old man with a wounded expression said, you're bullying an old man. Li Shulai, speechless, wondered what on earth he was getting involved in. Just then, Shoning was approaching. The moment her figure came into view, the old man immediately released Li Shulai. Li Shulai, standing up straight and presenting himself like a perfect gentleman, Li Shulai was utterly shocked when he realized that the old man's granddaughter was none other than Ma Xiaoning. Xiaoning, confused, looked between her grandfather and Li Shulai. Grandpa, what's going on? Why is Li Shulai with you? She glared at Li Shulai, shouting, why are you so shameless? Since you couldn't win me over, now you're targeting my family. Li Shulai quickly tried to explain, chasing Xiaoning, there seems to be a misunderstanding. The old man also attempted to calm his granddaughter down, but Xiaoning interrupted, saying, this person's behavior is practically harassment. I've already rejected him, but he keeps pestering me. Why go to such lengths? Plotting against my family will only make me hate you even more. She turned to her grandfather, asking, Grandpa, did he bully you just now? A college student bullying an elderly person. How disgraceful. Li Shulai, visibly frustrated, responded, Ma Xiaoning, you've been talking to yourself for a while now. Have you had enough? None of what's happened here is my fault. The old man chimed in, agreeing with Li Shulai. Ning, this young man didn't do anything wrong. I was just tired of standing, so I lay down to rest. Although inside he was secretly pleased that such a promising young man had once had a crush on his granddaughter. But Xiaoning wasn't convinced. She said firmly, Grandpa, you don't have to be afraid of him. I'm here to protect you. Her grandfather, exasperated, said, Ning, you owe him an apology. You've misunderstood this good young man. Shocked, Xiaoning exclaimed, him? A good young man? Li Shulai, crossing his arms, replied sarcastically, yes, it's me, your model 3 good youth. Is that okay? Her grandfather continued, I'm serious, Ning. Apologize to Li Shulai, fuming. Xiaoning snapped back. Apologize to him? That's impossible. Her grandfather, now losing his patience, shouted, Ning. Tears welled up in Xiaoning's eyes as she cried out, Grandpa, you came all the way to my school just to be mean to me. I don't want to deal with you anymore. With that, she turned and ran away. Her grandfather tried to stop her, but it was already too late. He sighed, muttering, this child has no sense of propriety. Then, with a small smile, he turned to Li Shulai and said, there must be some misunderstanding here. I'll speak with her when I return home. It seems this matchmaking won't work out. Li Shulai, having witnessed the chaotic scene, asked, so can I leave now? But the old man stopped him, saying, hold on. I can tell you've just begun practicing. There's no need to be so on guard around me, afraid of exposing your foundation. Upon hearing this, Li Shulai was stunned. The old man calmly explained, in the eyes of practitioners, unless one deliberately conceals their cultivation, it is transparent. By observing your true essence, we can easily discern your level of cultivation, he continued. Matchmaking was secondary. My primary reason for approaching you is to establish a relationship. Though you've only recently begun practicing, your true essence is exceptionally pure. This indicates that you have a unique physique and extraordinary talent, traits that make you an excellent candidate for cultivation. Upon hearing this, Li Shulai realized that his rebirth had likely tempered his qualifications. It seems that if they find someone with potential, they'll try to match them with the cultivator, he thought. Noticing Li Shulai's contemplative expression, the old man smiled. you're still hesitant to discuss anything related to cultivation, which shows your cautious nature. That's good. In the world of cultivation, vigilance is a virtue. If you're not careful, you might fall victim to those who kill for treasures. For more information, visit wudo.fema.gov. I also suspect you don't have a master and that you've learned everything on your own. Tokov and I admire your character and am optimistic about your aptitude and understanding. Given time, you will undoubtedly achieve greatness. I simply wish to meet you while you're still humble, so that when you rise to success, my Jianyan family can benefit from the relationship. With a smile, the old man thought, it seems I've convinced him. Time to make my next move. He then told Lai Shulai, there's a practitioners' conference this week, held at Qingyun Temple on Laojun Mountain. As a show of my sincerity, I will introduce you to my senior sister when the time comes. While I, as an expert at the third realm, cannot make further breakthroughs and may not be able to guide you, my senior sister is one of the most powerful individuals in the world. Becoming her disciple would guarantee your rise to the top. Li Shulai's curiosity was piqued. In the real world, the third realm is considered a master. Though the old man's methods seemed a bit unorthodox, Li Shulai appreciated his honesty and open intentions. He's someone I can befriend. Besides, navigating cultivation alone is like a blind man crossing a river. It's wise to seek guidance. In Li Shulai's eyes, Zhang Chaoyang's accomplishments were already impressive, and his senior sister must be a wise, white-haired master from whom he could learn a great deal. Well, Li Shulai said thoughtfully, since you're being so sincere, it will be impolite of me to polite. If your excellency intends to help me, I will repay your kindness with gratitude someday. Finally, after all his effort, the old man successfully persuaded Li Shulai. As for Xianing, the old man thought to himself, we'll need to handle that situation carefully to avoid any lingering issues.